Whenever I meet someone new and I tell them that I was in the military, I now have this sense of apprehension that they're going to ask me this one question. And honestly, it's the most triggering question in the world because it's just so insensitive and quite frankly, downright ignorant. That question is, have you ever killed anyone before? Now, before I go on this massive rant, I can understand why somebody might be curious because they've met someone who's now part of a subgroup of the population who's joined an organization where like death is part of the work, right? Death is part of the job, or so people think. Because believe it or not, the army is comprised of more than just soldiers who go to war and kill people and medics who see people die. The military is actually very similar to civilian life in terms of the job roles that are available, just with its own sort of rules and regulations, right? And that's a different story. But when people ask, have you ever killed someone? I mean, what goes through my head immediately is like, first of all, why? Why ask that question? Like, why do you care? And also, it's really not that different to whatever your experience was, because everybody in this day and age has either witnessed a death, has heard of someone die, known someone who knows someone who's died, or they've directly been involved in it. Especially with this pandemic that has just swept through the world. Okay, everybody knows somebody who has died, and they would have seen what sort of reaction comes out of those people who are affected by it the most. So when you ask somebody who's been in the services whether they've killed somebody, imagine what that does to them. Just imagine. Go ahead. I mean, I personally haven't killed anybody. I've witnessed a lot of death, being in the medical forces, being in the medical services. But I mean, there are people who I know who've been to war and they've come back completely changed. Now, I can only imagine what goes through their head. There's a reason why PTSD is such a high profiled awareness campaign in the military. There's a reason why mental health is on the uprise. So when you ask somebody, oh, have you ever killed anybody? Because you're trying to scratch your own little weird like kink of knowing somebody who's killed someone. Like, just think about what's happening to that person. Just think about how they are now reliving that whole experience. I spoke to one of my mates actually who told me exactly that. He said, you know what, like he was just having a conversation with someone in a pub and then they found out he was in the military. They asked him, oh, so have you ever killed anybody? And he answered, he was just like, yeah. You could tell he was uncomfortable, but then that person kept pressing. Like, first of all, why would you do that? What kind of sick fuck are you? Oh yeah, so tell me, please, tell me, what did you do? How did you kill them? Oh, did they bleed out? Did they splatter? Like, what did you use? Like, really? Come on, man, get a fucking life, you fucking weirdo. Who asks some dumb shit question like that? How insensitive are you? When was the last time that you saw someone die? Oh, you haven't? Okay, well, do you know someone who has died? Yeah, you do? How did that make you feel? Just ask yourself that. How did that make you feel? Exactly. So why would you ask somebody who's probably done something that they didn't want to do, but they had to do, and the result was another life was lost? A life was lost at the end of that engagement or interaction. It's just like a lack of common decency, man. I've been asked this before. I mean, I've been asked by like people on nights out when they ask me, oh, so like, what have you done? Like, where have you been, etc. And I said, yeah, I served in the army. I was a medic. And then they're like, ooh, all of a sudden. And then boom, that question comes out. It's like a 50-50. They'll either be like, oh, like, well done, or thank you for your service, or something like that. Or they'll just ask that retarded question. Oh, so, have you killed anyone? Oh, what was it like? Please tell me. I'm a fucking weirdo. If you really want to know what people dying looks like, just go on the fucking dark web. Don't ask people who've been in situations that have just caused stress and trauma. Because while I've never been to war, while I've never killed anybody, I've seen families torn apart because their loved ones have died. I've seen, people of all ages pass away. And the thing is, I'm not trying to make it sound dramatic or like get like really deep about it, but I still remember all that. I still remember all the moments that I've had to speak to the families. I've had to, work on people, like literally be doing CPR while I've got like a fucking like no pulse. And then I just look to my mentor because I was with the London ambulance service at the time, and they're just like, yeah, nah. And then I've got to go and break that news to like a young family or to a wife, brother, sister. Just think about it, man. It's just not cool. Like, why does that matter so much? I think a lot of the time people don't seem to realize just how insensitive it comes across. And, you know, in this case, ignorance is not bliss, because not only are you asking a pretty stupid question, if you ask me, you're causing somebody to relive that pain. And then you don't know, you have no idea what's happening in that person's head as the follow on from that interaction. Because once you've asked that question, you've got your answer, right? If they answer in any way, they might tell you to fuck off. And well, then that's it. You know, you're not going to press unless you want to get your fucking shit kicked in. But after that moment, that person then has to deal with going back into the recesses of their mind, probably even relive the situation. And that then can open up so many dark doors. There's a reason why like suicide is so high in the military. PTSD, mental health, anxiety. And you see, this is now leaked into the wider sectors of just society. So again, it just blows my mind why somebody would ask something like that when they know full well what it does to people. Anyways, that's my rant. If you're watching this, please, if you meet a veteran, if you meet anybody who's been in a high conflict zone, or just been from an area where there's just been a lot of like conflict and tension, or just fucking exercise some good moral fiber and just don't ask questions like that. All right, that's it. I'm out. Peace.